Satellite imagery appears to show a major oil slick spreading toward Iran's Qeshm Island, offering a striking view from space of the growing environmental crisis. New satellite images show oil spreading through Iranian waters after attacks involving vessels, raising fresh questions about the scale and consequences of the damage. An oil trail stretching roughly 160 kilometers has reportedly reached Iranian waters following an attack in the Strait of Hormuz, turning a military confrontation into a potentially serious environmental threat. Black, bubbling oil is washing onto beaches on Qeshm Island, triggering fears that a potentially devastating ecological disaster could now be unfolding along Iran's coastline. The crisis may be getting worse, with another oil slicks reportedly detected in Iranian waters and concerns growing over further contamination across the Gulf. The second slick has been spotted near Iran's strategically important Sirri Island, adding another troubling development to an already escalating oil crisis. From satellite images high above the Gulf to oil washing onto Iranian beaches, one critical question now hangs over the crisis: who is responsible for the spill, and how far could the environmental damage spread? Satellite images have captured a major oil slick spreading off Iran's Qeshm Island, raising serious concerns about a potentially significant environmental incident in the waters around the strategically important island. The images were captured by Europe's Copernicus Sentinel-2 satellites on August 10, showing a large area of apparent oil pollution extending into the waters surrounding Qeshm Island. A second oil slick was detected near Iran's Sirri Island on August 13, suggesting that the environmental impact may not be limited to a single location within the Gulf. Sirri Island, located roughly 100 kilometers southwest of Qeshm, is home to Iranian offshore oil and gas facilities, making the location particularly significant amid the region's ongoing maritime tensions. Environmental researchers said the Qeshm slick stretched for around 160 kilometers, with satellite imagery showing a substantial trail of pollution across the surrounding waters. According to the analysis, the darker sections of the slick appear consistent with heavy fuel oil, although the exact substance involved has not been independently confirmed. A lighter and more diluted oil trail could also be seen spreading much farther across the waters, indicating that the pollution may have dispersed well beyond the most concentrated sections of the slick. Video verified by Reuters showed dark, bubbling liquid washing onto beaches at Susa on Qeshm Island, providing visible evidence of pollution reaching the coastline. The pollution is raising new fears for Qeshm's fragile coastline, as well as its fisheries, mangrove habitats and marine wildlife, which could face lasting damage if the contamination continues to spread. Maritime tanker trackers said the Qeshm slick likely stemmed from the Minoan Pioneer, a Liberia-flagged dry bulk carrier that was damaged earlier this month. The Liberia-flagged dry bulk ship was hit by an unknown projectile off Oman on August 3, while sailing through the Strait of Hormuz, and one seafarer was reported missing after the incident. Maritime security sources said the attack was suspected to have been carried out by Iran, although the circumstances surrounding the incident and the source of the subsequent pollution remain disputed. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry has said preliminary evidence points to a foreign bulk carrier as the source of the pollution that reached Qeshm Island, offering a different account of where the spill originated. The full cause of the Qeshm spill, as well as the origin of the separate slick detected near Sirri Island, remains unconfirmed. The oil spill comes as tit-for-tat attacks on shipping continue to raise tensions across the region, opening a dangerous environmental front in the Gulf alongside the wider security crisis. Chaos across the Gulf and Red Sea is deepening as Yemen's Houthi rebels intensify pressure on Saudi Arabia, targeting the kingdom's energy infrastructure and maritime trade routes. The Houthi maritime blockade, announced on July 20th, has pushed parts of Saudi Arabia's oil export fleet to operate without publicly visible tracking signals amid fears of attacks. The Ansarullah-led Yemeni armed forces have described the campaign as a blockade-for-blockade strategy, presenting it as a direct response to Saudi restrictions on Houthi-held parts of Yemen. The group says its action is retaliation for more than a decade of conflict, airstrikes, and restrictions imposed on Yemen by the Saudi-led coalition. Tanker tracking firms are now offering conflicting estimates of Saudi oil shipments, because many vessels leaving Red Sea terminals are no longer transmitting continuous AIS location signals. This lack of reliable shipping data has left global energy markets guessing about the real scale of Saudi crude exports and the disruption caused by the mounting Red Sea threat. Saudi Arabian tankers have increasingly switched off their tracking signals to reduce their exposure while moving through high-risk waters threatened by Houthi attacks. Saudi Arabian crude export volumes can no longer be independently verified with confidence, as an increasing number of tankers operate without continuous public tracking signals. Ship tracking firms such as Vortexa, Plur, and AXS Marine are reportedly producing sharply conflicting estimates, while the IEA, OPEC, and traders rely on such data to assess supply conditions. For the week beginning August 3rd, 3 major tracking firms reached 3 different conclusions on Yanbu loadings, highlighting the scale of uncertainty surrounding Saudi export flows. These estimates are critically important because energy traders, international agencies, and oil market analysts use them to measure global supply and forecast potential changes in prices. An average of around 32 vessels per day reportedly passed through the Bab al-Mandab Strait last week, reflecting a sharp reduction in traffic through the vital Red Sea shipping route. That figure was down from roughly 50 vessels that crossed the Strait per day before the Houthi blockade and heightened threat of attacks disrupted normal maritime movement. Saudi oil is now reportedly moving north through the Red Sea and toward the Mediterranean via the Suez Canal, as Riyadh searches for safer alternatives to threatened routes. Egypt's Sumed pipeline is also being used to move Saudi crude across Egyptian territory, allowing shipments to reach Mediterranean export terminals without transiting the full Suez route. Loading activity at Saudi Arabia's Red Sea terminals has reportedly dropped by around half since the blockade came into force, underlining the pressure on Riyadh's alternative export network. Turkey has confirmed that it is joining the Saudi-led multinational maritime defense coalition, strengthening Ankara's role in regional efforts to protect vital shipping routes. The coalition was formed to safeguard freedom of navigation and protect international trade and energy supply routes through the Bab al-Mandab Strait, the Red Sea, and the Gulf of Aden. The Saudi-led alliance was announced last month and has since moved toward its operational phase, with 13 countries completing procedures to formally join its charter. Ankara's participation also reinforces the Mecca Joint Defense Pact signed last week by Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, which commits the 3 countries to a collective security framework. Yemen's Houthis are reportedly weighing transit fees for commercial ships sailing through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, according to Reuters. The proposal follows the Houthis' recent announcement of a naval blockade targeting Saudi-linked maritime traffic in the Red Sea. Regional sources told Reuters on July 29 that most commercial vessels could face the proposed transit charges if the plan moves forward. The sources said no timetable has yet been set for introducing the proposed fee mechanism for ships using the waterway. Reuters reported that Chinese-flagged vessels would be exempt from the proposed transit charges under the current plan. 2 regional officials told Reuters that Iranian officials discussed the proposal with Houthi representatives earlier this month. An Arab official said Iranian advisors later helped develop a body that would administer and oversee the proposed transit charges. If implemented, the proposal could give the Houthis greater influence over shipping through one of the world's busiest maritime trade routes. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait connects the Red Sea with the Gulf of Aden and serves as a critical choke point for global trade and energy shipments.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.